we're back with another editing session. This one is photographs from the other half of the trip to Foley. As you may remember, the balloon festival didn't quite pan out, so I took the spare time and went and done other things. This is mainly photographs of the model railway, and I still say that is an amazing railway system, something that you should go and see if you're down in the Foley region and it's open. But there's a couple others in here, for example Stonehenge, or at least Alabama's version of Stonehenge. As you can see, I've got all the pictures uploaded into Lightroom and it's time to get going. So first one of Stonehenge, blown out sky. We're at ISO 400. I probably should have came down to 100, but there was lots of shadows and I didn't want to lose the detail in the shadows. Bump up the clarity a bit and the contrast, which will bring out the shadows a bit more, but then we can mitigate that, remove the highlights, get rid of any blown out areas. Don't want it too green. There we go. Come down, dehaze it a tad. Probably a little bit more on the shadows and bring down the whites a bit. Yeah, that looks okay. We'll take that one. What else do we have? Darker yet, we're up to 1/1000th of a second. Pretty much the same photograph. This is it in a bit darker because of the shadows of the trees. We're still at 1/1000th. Of a second. We'll edit this one and see how it comes out. Might not necessarily keep it. The sky at least is a little bit bluer, so this might work out a little bit better. Come down, dehaze it a touch. There we go, you can see the blue coming in. Shadows are a little bit of a problem, but not too bad. Bring down the whites a tad. Bring up the blacks. Doesn't make that much of a difference. If I dim them, yes. Bring them up. I can bring them up a hair. About there. Export that. So here we are inside Stonehenge now. Don't like that one. Sun flare. So this is it from a different angle. I think this is from behind Stonehenge at this point, or plastic henge, or whatever you want to call it. This is shot with the outlier, which Stonehenge actually has. Can get in tighter, but missing the outlier. Too dark, so let's take this one. Zoomed in a little bit more. Let's try this one. Okay, again, shadows, which means you've got to bring down the highlights and the whites a touch, bring up the clarity, put in a little bit of contrast to try and get something out of the sky. Ooh. smidge much on the vibrance there. Or rather the saturation. Dehaze it, see if we can get some colour in the sky. There we go, got a little bit of colour in the sky, that'll do. Nothing's blown out, so that's fine. I'll export that one. Now on the way back from Stonehenge came across this, which I just thought was interesting. It's just an old building. The other half of this building, as you can see here, is actually still getting used as a farmer's market, even though it's, you know, crumbling, shall we say. That's a neat little shot. Just, I like that shot. BG Farms Farmer Market. Anyway, on to the railway. This is outside the model railway. It's in the main park at Foley. Well, I don't know if it's the main park. It's the central park in Foley that you drive past on 59. And, well, there you go. There's Foley there. Yeah. Zoomed in a little bit. This is with the 24-70, okay. Let's go in and make sure this is straight because it doesn't quite look like it. It's a little bit better. I've actually taken that too far. Let's adjust the angle again. Let's take the angle from up here. There we go. That looks a bit better. Yeah, pull in the clarity and the contrast. Then we're going to need to boost the shadows, get the shadows out of the trees, etc. Highlight this. Bright sunny day, so seriously blown out background. I don't have, oh, white should go the other way actually. I don't have a neutral density filter for this lens, the 24-70. It's something I'm going to need to invest in. What a neutral density filter is it basically darkens everything. You could use a circular polarizer to bring in the sky, make it not as blown out, but you can use a neutral density filter just to darken the whole image, and that way you can actually boost your 1/1600th. I don't need to with this picture, but if I want to, nothing's moving, it's not a waterfall or whatever, but if I was doing a waterfall or some sort of water feature and I wanted to smooth out the water, make it look glassy effect, then I need a really slow shutter speed, usually something like a second, 2 seconds, somewhere in there to get the nice smooth glassy. On bright days like this, you can't do it. Everything just gets blown out, even if you take it down to f/22. ISO 100 is the lowest natural setting the camera will go. My camera will actually go down to ISO 50, but you just can't get the time that you need. Neutral density filter doesn't affect colours, it just darkens everything. So that allows you to bump down your shutter speed and get those smooth glassy waterfalls. Makes the sky not as blown out as what it is. You can get various degrees of these filters. With regards to the filters, I prefer B&W. Really well made glass. You don't want to buy a $2,000 lens, $2,500 lens, and then stick a $10 filter on the front of it. The glass in the lens is highly polished and really good glass, and you're basically sticking a piece of plastic in front of that. It's going to affect your photograph. That actually gives me an idea for another video in the future. I've got cheap filters. I've got B&Ws, which are really nice filters, but they come in at around about the $100 to $250 range. They're quite a bit more expensive. Anyway, back to this editing session. Old locomotive train, and there it is. So at a slight angle, that works. Again, seriously blown out sky. 1/100th, and I'm down. Well, I'm down to 1/80th. I could have bumped up the shutter speed on this a tad. That wouldn't have blown the sky out as much. Bring down the highlights. Didn't quite do it, so there we go. It's just overexposed. But we do want to bring up the shadows a bit. Get the detail under here. And then if we also dehaze it, we should start to see some sky come in. There we go. Nice picture, take that one. Just a shot of the front of the, no, sorry, that's the back of the train. I climbed up on top of it and took a couple of shots inside. Unfortunately, due to the light, I'm just getting lots of reflection. So these are, if you have a circular polarizer, that will get rid of these reflections. If you're going into places like museums or anywhere where you're shooting through glass, you want a circular polarizer. I actually had one with me. Oh well, it's okay. I go to Foley quite a bit. I can take another couple of pictures at a later date. There's the train behind it with the station. Same picture, just a little bit closer up. Here's the front of the train. Another side one. This should have been shot at f2.8. Yes, it was. I wanted to get the Louisville sign in, but blur out the background. Probably the same on this side, f2.8. Again, blur everything out in the background, but have this Louisville, or that one's Nashville. This one's Louisville. So here we've got the bell, and I took this at various f-stops. So here's 2.8, bell's in focus. Well, front of the bell's in focus, the actually hammer's not. Everything else is out of focus. That's one of the shots I was looking for. Here we've got the bell in focus. Hammer's fairly much in focus. That's better one. Here I focused on the background to blur out the bell. When you've got low enough f-stop, these are the kind of things that you can do. And then here we go, f11, fairly much everything is in focus. So which one do I like best? Probably this one actually. I do like that one. Okie doke, so bring up the shadows a bit at the front. Highlights go down. Contrast, clarity. Clarity doesn't actually clear up the background, it's blurred. I've done a video on aperture. Take a look at that, it explains all about f-stops. Having an f2.8 lens, that's exactly what it's meant to do. Clarity will make it a little bit sharper, but it won't bring it into focus. It's not making the background clear. It really should be called sharpness. It's about sharpening your picture. There we go, that's looking a bit better. Dehaze it a bit, get the sky. And I could probably also bump this up just a tad. There we go. That's good. We'll go with that one. A little bit further off. Which one do I like better? See, I don't like having this here in the foreground. It's F9, so everything's in. This is at F2.8. So it's starting to blur out the further back we go. We want this one, the 2.8. Okay, highlights down, whites down, there we go. Nothing's blown out anymore. Shadows up. We actually could increase the exposure a tad much. Blues and yellows are coming out. We want clarity, vibrance to try and get some sky, and of course dehaze. Which brings a little bit of the blue sky back. Now this section, it's too bright. So I didn't need to brighten it at all. My exposure was actually on. That works. Magnolia Hotel, it's a really nice, it's just a really nice building. Opposite, it's old. New Orleans, Frenchy style. Now here's a fountain. This is where having a neutral density filter could have came in handy. As you can see the water droplets. It's not smooth flowing. And it's down at 1200. I had to drop down to F9, still ISO 100, and it's still sharp. Having a neutral density filter, I could have dropped this down to about a second. Remember, I'm hand holding these. I didn't have, well, I had my tripod with me, I just didn't have it out. See, 1/100th of a second. The water's not as sharp. Here's 1/200th, you can see the drop, or 1/2000th, you can see the drops. 1/100th, it's starting to streak. It's starting to be more smooth, which is kind of what you want in water features. For the most part, I mean, sometimes you do want it ultra sharp. Okay, let's angle this in. Where will we take it from? Up here. There we go. I tried to get everything, absolutely everything lined up perfectly. Bring in the contrast, bring down the highlights. There we go, we're starting to get blues and details in the background. Bring down the white, bring up the shadows in the trees and stuff. Of course, clarity. And dehaze it, get a little bit more blue. Need to bring up the shadows just a tad more and possibly even the exposure just a tad. Tad too much. There we go. File, export. Excuse me a second whilst I do this. I just want to so that it doesn't ping in the background. So now we actually go inside the, it's a small museum, but mainly it's just a model railway. I don't know much about model railways. This was just a neato place. This is the engine that you initially get greeted with, and then here we are. The initial couple of shots, they had the lights turned down. You can see all this in the video that I took. It's vlog number 17, the last vlog I posted. Initially when I walked in, the lights were down, so you could see all the, basically a night scene. Look at my ISO, it's 12,800. I needed that to try and bump up my shutter speed, because even at 1/30th of a second we're out of focus. Now all this graining that you see is because I'm at such a high ISO setting. When you zoom it out, it's not really that noticeable. It's when you go into 1:1. It's called pixel peeping. You can see the grain. F2.8, so narrow focus. Where was I focused? Probably down here on this building. Somewhere around here. 12,800. You can see the grain. In fact, it looks like it was focused down here. That was the focus point. We're down to 1/15th of a second. Very slow shutter speeds. Although it looked cool at night, 1/6 of a second. We're getting even slower. I was just trying to get something at night, or the simulated night. The lights turned down. This is a bit better. It's 1/50th of a second, so things are actually fairly much in focus around here. There's still graining. Excuse me, going on in the picture. I can bump up the exposure and overexpose, but I don't want to do that. Leave the exposure where it is. I don't really want to touch the shadows too much because it is meant to be a night scene. I can bring the highlights down so that these lights aren't as harsh. I don't really need this bridge here. There's a bridge in the way, so let's crop that out a bit, and there's not really a lot going on there, so let's crop that out a bit as well. That's better. Look at this tram car in focus. Even this, I don't know if that's an electric, that's a, might be a diesel train, I'm not sure. But wait. There we go, you see how it's not as grainy anymore. You add a little vibrance, a little saturation to the colours. It tends to get rid of some of the grain. It won't get rid of all of it, it's still there. Zoom in. See, it's still grainy. But it's not as grainy when you zoom out. Who pixel peeps anyway? Well, us photographers, we do. Dehaze it just a touch. That worked out not too bad. So here we are with the lights on now. And why am I still shooting that up? 12,800. Oh, please don't tell me I shot the whole thing at 12,800. No. We did start bringing things down, thank God. So 3,200. What have we got here? Just a train coming out the tunnel. Here's another train coming. I think it's going this way. F2.8. So I'm focused on this train here, and the foreground is blurry. Look at that, there's something up there. This model railway had so much detail, so much going on. Like, look at this, people painting the bridge. There's just little touches, little details everywhere. It truly was, and truly is, still is, an amazing set. Well worth going to see. ISO 6400. So maybe still a little dark. I wanted to f2.8, so I'm trying to bump up my shutter speed a little bit here, make sure things are not out of focus. Bring down the highlights a touch. Yeah, that looks okay. Now, unfortunately, with bumping up your ISO, see, 1/125th blurry. So here's one of the tram in focus. 2.8 1/320th. So stop the motion, which is what I wanted. Excuse me. There's just so much little details on all over the place here. You could easily spend hours just focusing in on little bits and pieces throughout this model. Maybe a tad much, bringing up the reds a little bit. There we go. Export that one. Cannon on the green. Can't quite read what that says. I was focused in on this little train here that went around and around. Here it is again. ISO 64, so there's a little bit of grain coming into the picture. When you zoom out, you don't notice it. And as I said, the trick for that is add a little bit of vibrance, add a little bit of saturation. The contrast just exacerbates these things, and it's not quite as grainy as what it was. Don't really need a lot of shadow. Looking at the histogram, something slightly off on the dark side. It's shadows in the trees, so we could bump that up a touch. And oh, it's the lights. So if we bring down the whites, there we go. Not as bad. Use that bit and export. The controllers, although not what I was focusing on, 1/25th of a second, not fast enough. Oh, this one I was being actually told about this structure, how it was all handmade. It's all balsa wood. So I took a photograph of that just for my memory. Now I've got another picture. This is 70-200, I think. 70-200. I've got another one of this with the 100-400. Zooming in, I got told not to look at this person in the window because she's just out of a bathtub and is naked. So I've got a slightly better one of that later on. There's another person that he's actually rescuing. Never noticed that. 6.3 is clearer than the 2.8. More blur. Makes this stand out. As I said, I got the 100-400 out later on and took pictures of that. This is a picture of the bear cubs. Two bears and a cub up on a hill, and also a chalet, I suppose you would call it. It's 5.6, did it get better? 2.8. No, we want the 5.61. This is what I mean by just tiny little details everywhere. Bunch of hobos, man playing banjo, your typical redneck. Can't exactly make out what's going on here or what he's holding, but just details everywhere. We saw that one, excuse me. At one of the train stations, just capturing the people waiting on the train. One of the conductors waving to somebody. Thomas the Tank Engine. Not quite in focus, I'm more focused here than Thomas. Already got a picture of that. This is the electric train in the station. Union Station. Isn't Union Station in New York? Bring down the highlights on these lights and the whites. A little bit. Bring up the haze. Export. There's Thomas again. Thomas very much is in focus. Just ISO 6400 is a bit. And the train behind it, I can't remember which one's going faster. I'm thinking the one behind it, due to the blur. It's only 1/30th of a second. Thomas once again, completely in focus this time. Just not a very good shot. Front shot of Thomas. There we go, that's the one we're looking for. Down, touch up with the dehaze. Just a smidge, there we go. Again, Thomas. Train going through the station, 1/30th of a second, just too slow, a shutter speed. Actually focused on the Sunoco and not the train, which is why it's blurred. This was Ringland's, yep, Ringling Circus. Elephants, clowns in here I think, yep, clowns. Various acts going on. A little bit on the yellow side, so let's bring that down a tad. There we go. Bridge. garage. This is a gas station. These cars actually move, by the way. It's not just the trains in this. I don't know if you call it a diorama or not, but you can see the track here, and these cars move around. This is the car wash. There's a lot of moving pieces to this, not just trains. Do I want to use car? Oh, that's right, it was cars inside it that I wanted. This is the car wash. This car goes round and round through the wash. These light up. Bama Grain of Foley. I have no idea if that's an actual company or not. Yeah, this was neat. The little junkyard at the back. And I like the colours. Pop those colours just a smidge. There we go. This is the drive-in I was talking about earlier. The car comes around, pulls up. You actually, I think I caught it. Let's see. There's a waitress comes out and serves the car. There's one there, actually. Car coming up. There, here comes the waitress on roller skates to serve the car. It's just like a Sonic drive-through basically, but 1960s style. So let's take this one. Shadows just a tad more. Actually increase. There we go. Not so much off the left hand side, although it did get a smidge bright in the background. Again with the drive-in, but this time tram car was going through, back on the tram car, selling war bonds. Old tram car. Inside, the ringlings. Where are we at? 200 donkeys. This is what I mean by detail. There's detail everywhere. So here's a fairly nice panorama. That's not quite a panorama, just a wide angle shot. Bring in the shadows, but bring down the highlights so we don't blow things out. There we go. We need to increase overall exposure. Not that much, too bright. There we go. Now, if I remember correctly, yes I did. Let's see if this works. This was actually taken. Was this one taken for this? This is all at 70mm. So where does it end? Probably here. Yeah. So let's highlight 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And let's try and stitch these together. I'm not sure how this will actually turn out. And it's been a while since I've done this, so I can't remember where the setting is. Edit. Let's see, preference catalog. There we go, photo merge panorama. That's what I was looking for. This will take a second or two to render, especially with, what, 8 pictures I think I said. I really should have been standing in the middle and not quite off to one side like I was, but let's give it a go, see how it turns out. And there's your panorama. Now I can take off the auto crop and you can see where I'm missing because of the angles I was at. The auto crop just brings all that in. I wonder if I can, I think it's cropping too much at the top. It's not. Let's merge it. Because these are all raw files, I'm not destroying anything. What I'm doing here is I'm actually creating a brand new picture just of these 8 stitched together. Does it allow me to edit whilst it's creating? Nope, this is probably using all my processing power. In fact, I can hear the fan just turned on the computer. So whilst it's creating the panorama, we're going to end this video here. You've seen quite a lot of this model. I'll post these pictures up to my Facebook, Hackersoft Productions LLC. Please go like that page. I hope you enjoyed this editing session and learnt something from it. And we'll see you again in the next one.